In a speech entitled, "Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community?" Martin Luther King Jr. said, "And so shall we have to do more than register and more than vote. We shall have to create leaders who embody virtues we can respect, who have moral and ethical principles we can applaud with enthusiasm. And so it shall be ingrained in us not only the importance to acknowledge our predecessors' accomplishments and contributions they have made throughout their long history as Americans, but also to celebrate the legacy of many African American men and women and what they stood for."
I would like to talk about one particular person, Elder Moses General Miles. He was the pastor of a local church here, Philadelphia Primitive Baptist Church, but he was also dean of students at Florida A&M University, which was a very important role during the times, the 50s and 60s, that he was the dean of students. He mentored many young people, put them on the right track, educated them as to the obstacles and struggles that we've had, and to make sure that they would do their best so that they would become someone in society. And so many of those young people have come back today to honor Reverend Miles, even though he's been dead for a number of years. When you hear them talk, the elder General Moses Miles impacted my life, and I see him as a hero and as a role model as well for me.
Well, I would say Cannonball and Nat Adderley, as far as being close to me, because of my personal contact with them. Nat raised me as a musician. The guys came from here, they grew up here, they studied at Florida A&M, and they went on to the world, and they were important in taking jazz music to the world, taking their kind of soulful jazz music to the world. They're really a great credit to Tallahassee.
And another person today that I see as a role model is, as a local minister, she's in her 90s, Reverend Bernice Clausell. She's the pastor of a local church, Calvary Baptist Church. Well, she's an ex-pastor, she's retired now. And she's a wonderful woman who inspires me. She walks in, 90-some years old, with pride and honor, because she realizes how far African Americans have come. And it's all because of people like this who have contributed, who've walked, who've struggled, who've fought, who've just given everything that they've had to let people know that we too are equal.
A Muskogean Indian word, often translated as Old Fields or Old Town, Ralph Waldo Emerson once called Tallahassee a grotesque place of land speculators and desperados. Although quoted in 1827, visiting any historic site, art gallery, cultural exhibit, museum, or Canopy Highway today illustrates anything but. Over the years, the heritage of Tallahassee has been enriched by an entire population of people that possessed a remarkable perception of embracing the community around them. From the period of slavery through Reconstruction and the Civil Rights Movement, Tallahassee has a legacy of intangible attributes which have been passed down from preceding generations. This is no more apparent than in our multicultural city. In honor of our African American neighbors, colleagues, friends, and families, our cultural heritage is being acknowledged through Black History Month.
Black History Month is a very meaningful time for me. Having grown up in strict segregation, I had an opportunity to study Black history in a way in the segregated schools that we don't get to really study it now. And if you don't really take a moment to look at Black history, if you just go by what's taught in school, you would think Black people went straight from slavery to the welfare line. Whereas the reality is that we started dying for this country from the very beginning. One of the first people to die, well, in the Boston Massacre, was a Black man. Many inventions that we take for granted, many things that we use in our daily lives were invented by Black people. And people need to know about that, because that would help take away the prejudice, because then it's not possible to say, oh yeah, these people are inferior, because you can see that Black Americans have been an important part of the United States since the very beginning.
Black History Month means the world to me. Let's start with that phrase. First of all, I see it as a time to preserve our culture and heritage of African Americans. I see it as a time to reflect and to motivate our young people of the importance of the contributions of African Americans. And I also see it as a time to educate people who may not have had the opportunity to learn.
Not only is Black History Month a time to commemorate African Americans who have helped change our world, it is our time to commemorate community. Principles of achievement, dignity, strength, and honor are only a few of the virtues we as citizens of Tallahassee can be proud of. Our cultural history predicates the paths, opportunities, and choices we now make, both for ourselves and for those who come after us.
Our young people need to be aware of the struggles. We become comfortable in our own zone when we don't know and not aware that it took so many people to die for us to be able to vote. These kids have no concept. This year, however, with Barack Obama, and the young people got involved, and it was so special because they understand now the importance and what this means to have an African American history president. So as far as Black history within the community, I want to educate our youth. I want to motivate our youth to make sure that the dream still lives, and that as all of these elders are passing on, that this still will be alive, because our young people finally understand and realize the potential of what African American History Month is all about.
Let us celebrate Black History Month in honor of those who have stood for right and for purpose. Let us celebrate and embrace this character and learn from it a sense of bonding and cohesion that we can continue to pass on to fellow Tallahasseans.